Oath Between Flowers. Chapter 1, Streams Meet. Under the deep looming mountains, the courtyard overflowing with the fragrance of flowers is full of chats and laughter between aristocratic sons and ladies and celebrity guests. Today is the day of the deer singing flower feast, the peach blossoms in the garden are like clouds, the dancers are dressed in light yarns, dancing, and the whole banquet is shrouded in a romantic atmosphere. However, behind this romance, there is a hidden encounter that is quietly happening. The focus of the banquet was the famous son who was about to take over the position of the Lord, Luo Nanfan. This handsome and extraordinary man, not only talented, but also has a prominent family background, has long been the face of a famous family, and the dream lover of countless young ladies. Every time he lowered his head slightly, countless eyes surrounded him. However, such a male protagonist doesn't seem to be very interested in the flowery banquet, and his eyes are faintly dignified. At this moment, in the other corner of the banquet, there was a faint fluctuation in the sound of light laughter and conversation. A slender figure accidentally slipped into the stream next to it. The sound of surprise immediately attracted everyone's attention. The woman who had fallen into the stream, her dress rippling, and as she struggled in embarrassment, a strong arm reached out and grabbed her. "Be careful." A low but faintly impatient tone rang in her ears. The woman raised her head and met the pair of eyes that were as cold as frost, Luo Nanfan. Not only did the two of them interlock their arms, but their entire bodies were also weightless with the sliding of the stream, and they fell heavily into the clear pool. There was a bang, the water splashed, and the exclamations of the ladies and the whispers of the ladies resounded all around. "This is a big court." Luo Nanfan frowned, although his eyes were cold, he couldn't hide a trace of helplessness in his heart. Under the watchful eye of the heavy banquet, he actually fell into the water with the unknown little woman. Although the woman's appearance is not amazing, in such a scene, it arouses a bit of interest. The woman's name was Yulianlan, and she came from an ordinary family of petty officials. Her parents died young, and her daily life was difficult, but with her ingenuity and intelligence, it was difficult for those around her to ignore. Although her status is low, her scheming is unusually deep. This unexpected accident is obviously not just a simple wrestling for her. She quickly pushed away Luo Nanfan's hand in the water and quickly swam to the shore, with a slight blush on her face, but there was a smug glint in her eyes. Luo Nanfan got up from the water, his clothes were soaked, but it was difficult to hide his handsome face. His gaze swept over Yulianlan, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, but he didn't say any extra words. "Dare to ask. Girl, are you all right?" There was a hint of indifference in his tone, but the vigilance in his eyes could not be ignored. Yulianlan raised her head, gently wiped her wet cheeks, and smiled slightly. "Thank you Gongzi for rescuing, the girl is fine." Her tone was respectful but faintly provocative, as if she had planned the accident in mind. The guests at the banquet had already begun to whisper, discussing the dilemma of the two. Yulianlan's identity was known to many people, a concubine who was only a 5-rank petty official family, and actually had such intimate contact with Luo Nanfan, the future lord. This can't help but give rise to all kinds of reverie. Chapter 2, The Marriage Covenant Comes. After that day, although Luo Nanfan seemed to not care on the surface, he couldn't let go of the accident in his heart. He didn't want to believe that he could be so close to a woman of such humble status. He is the heir of the Lord of Shang, who has lived in the whirlpool of power since he was a child, and has countless expectations for his marriage choices. Such a woman is not worthy of appearing in his sight at all. However, fate often goes against human wishes. Not long after, Luo Nanfan received a marriage contract arranged by his family, and he actually made a marriage contract with Yulianlan. It is said that the Yu family once did the Luo family a great favor, and the Luo family agreed to this marriage out of gratitude. This is undoubtedly a heavy blow to Luo Nanfan. He couldn't help but feel bored. How could he not accept that he would marry a woman with such a humble status as his wife? The marriage contract reads, after marriage, the two parties must abide by the 3 chapters of the covenant and not interfere with each other's private affairs. Luo Nan was in a hurry, and immediately picked up the pen and wrote down the 3 chapters of the covenant in his heart. Chapter 3, Oaths and Conspiracies. A few days before the wedding, Luo Nanfan sat alone in the study, looking down at the 3 chapters of the covenant he had written. Every word seemed to warn himself that the relationship with this concubine must be demarcated. 1. When she appears as a wife, it is limited to weddings and family occasions. 2. The two are not allowed to interact in private, and they do not interfere with each other's lives after marriage. 3. If either party disturbs the marital life without permission, the marriage shall be invalidated. Luo Nanfan said to himself, this kind of covenant can allow him to keep his freedom and protect himself from restraints. However, Yu Lianlan was not intimidated by these simple conditions. On the contrary, she already had a plan of her own. Chapter 4, The Irreversible Ending. The wedding was held as scheduled, and the marriage between Luo Nanfan and Yu Lianlan became a topic of conversation in the entire looming city. Despite Luo Nanfan's reluctance, this wedding surprised him to find that life after marriage was not as simple as he imagined. Yu Lianlan is smart and good at handling things, and gradually, her gentleness and wit gradually conquered everyone around her. She was not in a hurry to challenge Luo Nanfan, but silently changed the appearance of this marriage in her own way. And after Luo Nanfan gradually realized that she was different, he couldn't help but start to reflect on his original vow. He knew that this marriage might change his life. Chapter 5, The Gradual Progression of Turns. As time passed, Luo Nanfan gradually became confused about Yu Lianlan's actions. In the days after marriage, she seemed to have a very uneventful life, did not take the initiative to challenge his authority, and even behaved more mature and stable than he imagined. Every time there is a big or small thing at home, she will silently take care of and deal with it, and sometimes make suggestions quietly, so that Luo Nanfan has to admit that her vision is more far-reaching than his. The most surprising thing for him was that Yu Lianlan's understanding of family affairs far exceeded his expectations. One day, he overheard Yu Lianlan's conversation with the elders of the family on the side, and she did not seem unfamiliar with those discussions involving state affairs and family scale, but was surprisingly proficient. He was surprised to find that she had a thorough knowledge of some of the family's secret affairs, which he was both surprised and unable to ignore. Lianlan, do you know these things? Luo Nanfan couldn't help but ask on a leisurely afternoon. Yu Lianlan glanced at him and smiled slightly, with a faint light of wisdom in her eyes. These things, the family plan, every decision affects the future. If you are a member of the family, how can you not care? Luo Nanfan's heart was shocked. This kind of reaction is not the wisdom that an ordinary maid can show. What is her past like? Chapter 6, The Entanglement of Fate. In the days after marriage, Luo Nanfan gradually found that he had a different affection for Yu Lianlan. Not only is she intelligent and low-key, she is very appropriate, never interferes too much in everything about him, and even at some times, appears unusually calm and self-controlled. She has an indescribable temperament, as if behind every smile she has hidden countless calculations and stratagems. One day, Luo Nanfan overheard an old incident related to Yu Lianlan, which shocked him. It turned out that in the past history of the Yu family, there was an outstanding female family member who had a very high political vision and influence, and even directly influenced a change in the imperial court. That woman's name was Yu Yao. She was Yu Lianlan's grandmother. She was unmarried when she was young, and she single-handedly fought against many powerful ministers, leaving an immortal legend. These things were cleverly concealed by Yu Lianlan. She never took the initiative to mention her family background, and it wasn't until Luo Nanfan overheard these stories that he understood that Yu Lianlan was not only a concubine, but the family behind her had a powerful power. But what is the purpose of her choosing to keep a low profile, and even willing to give up her past power and aura and marry into this family that seems to have nothing to do with her? Chapter 7, The Unraveling of the Knot. By chance, Luo Nanfan and Yu Lianlan went together to deal with the affairs of the family, and the two rode a horse together and walked through the forest at dusk. This time of getting along made Luo Nanfan have a better understanding of Yu Lianlan. That night, the two stopped to rest, and the moonlight shone on their bodies through the branches and leaves, which seemed extraordinarily peaceful. Lianlan, why did you choose to marry me in the first place? Luo Nanfan suddenly asked, with a hint of helplessness and confusion in his tone. Yu Lianlan looked at him quietly, her eyes were gentle, but deep. I didn't marry for you, just because this marriage is a new beginning and a part of destiny for me. She paused for a moment, then continued, I'm not what you think, I don't have ambitions, I just want to be able to live freely. These words made Luo Nanfan a little stunned. Yu Lianlan's answer was very different from his previous guess about her. He thought she would rely on her family and carry out a scheme for power and status, but she chose a different path. And what do you expect from our marriage? Luo Nanfan couldn't help but ask. Yu Lianlan smiled indifferently, lowered her head to look at her fingers, and said softly, marriage, for me, is both a responsibility and a choice. As for the outcome, no matter what, I'll take it. Her tone was calm, but it made Luo Nanfan feel a shock in his heart. She is not as conspiracy as he thinks, but more like a person who knows how to accept reality and go with the flow. At this moment, Luo Nanfan suddenly realized that he had never really understood Yulian Lan. Her depth and maturity have long been beyond his original understanding. Chapter 8, The Sprout of Love. As time passed, Luo Nanfan gradually let down the guard in his heart, and his relationship with Yulian Lan also underwent subtle changes unconsciously. He began to notice her gentleness and strength, began to appreciate her calmness and wisdom, and found that everything she did was for the harmony and stability of the family. Such a Yulian Lan made him can't help but have a deeper respect for her, and even began to have a trace of heartbeat. And Yulian Lan also gradually felt the change of Luo Nanfan. She thought that this marriage would be like many political marriages, cold and ruthless, isolated from each other, but Luo Nanfan's gentleness and perseverance gradually broke the defense line in her heart. She never imagined that this marriage might bring so many surprises and changes to her. One night, when the two of them were standing under the peach blossom tree, Luo Nanfan suddenly whispered, "Lian Lan, I think I may have missed too much about you." Yulian Lan smiled slightly and said softly, "It's okay, no matter what, my choice has been made." At this time, the two looked at each other, and they had already reached a tacit consensus in their hearts. This marriage, from the original vow to today's change, is no longer a simple responsibility, but has become a mutual love. Ending, The Fate of Fate. Soon after, the marriage between Luo Nanfan and Yulian Lan became a good story in Looming City. With each other's support and understanding, they gradually overcame challenges from the outside world and experienced many ups and downs together. Yulian Lan also gradually found her place in the family, and Luo Nanfan was no longer the indifferent future lord, his eyes were full of tenderness and firmness. The fates of the two are intertwined after all, and in the long river of time, they blossom and bear fruit.